So I set out on a goal to beat a Zelda game that I had never played before in my entire life. Never played it once, never bought it, never downloaded it, anything. And I set that goal 2 weeks ago. That game was The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Now, we did it. Me and chat could not have done it without chat, but we'll save that for a little bit later in the video. So, my thoughts about the game. I wanted to talk about the game a little bit because I had never played it before. And this was my first game I ever played through on stream. So we're going to start off with the main part of it, the puzzle solving. I think this game was the hardest game in terms of all the Zelda games that I played. And I played a couple. For example, I played like Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, games like that. Yeah, everyone's heard of those games. But I played more than that. But those are just the best ones that I've played. But I think this game, for me personally, was the hardest game in terms of solving puzzles. Now, that could have just been because my brain wasn't working for most of it, which is definitely possible. I felt like a small brain a lot of the times because I just could not figure stuff out sometimes and my brain wasn't working. But at the same time, sometimes I felt like I had the biggest brain in the world because I could figure stuff out like that, which made no sense because sometimes I would figure out how to do very hard puzzles way quicker than I would with smaller puzzles. But that's besides the point. Solving puzzles in that game, the only thing I can really describe the feeling to when you beat a dungeon and you solve all the puzzles and everything is beating a boss in Dark Souls or Sekiro or Elden Ring or any of those games. Now, I know they're not the same thing or on the same difficulty. Dark Souls is literally like some of the hardest games ever made, but that feeling of accomplishment you get is just unreal. When you complete that dungeon for the first time, never doing it before, it is so freaking cool. And especially when I had been struggling with certain parts for a while, which I'm not gonna lie, some parts took me like 20 minutes to figure out, even though they were pretty easy puzzles. Yeah, that happened more times than I care to admit. But when you finish those dungeons that have taken you an hour, 2 hours to finish, which did happen, and I think I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that happened. So I don't think I would have been able to beat this game in the time limit that I gave myself before Tears of the Kingdom, which was about a week and a half, 2 weeks, because obviously I have other things to do. But chat actually came in clutch so many times. If you don't watch my live streams, definitely go down below and subscribe and come check out the live streams. They're pretty fun. Come hang out. Anyways, chat was there literally whenever I needed them. If they saw I was stuck on something for however long and they could tell that I wanted a hint, they would drop a subtle hint like, hey, go over here, or maybe try this instead of what you're doing here. And that definitely helped out a lot. Or if they could tell that I was just like, dude, I'm so tired of this, I just want to get past this part, they'd be like, yo, do you want me to just tell you what to do just so you can move on to the next part? I can kind of tell you're just tired of it. Which did happen once or twice where I was like, really? This kind of sucks. Which it didn't suck. I was just exhausted from doing whatever I did during the day, and then I was stuck on a puzzle for 30 minutes, and I don't really know if any of them ever took that long, but I definitely know I was stuck on puzzles for 20 minutes at least. Certain ones, and a lot of them. Shame to admit it, but whatever. It is what it is. I haven't played a seriously like dungeon heavy Zelda game in a while. The most recent dungeon Zelda game that I played through was Breath of the Wild, and that's also my most played Zelda game. So I was definitely not ready to get smacked in the face with the game that was way more dungeon focused than I was expecting. But it was fun. I think the dungeons were cool. I think they were all very well designed. The only one that I didn't really care for was the Lanayru mining facility. I just felt, I don't know, I just think that dungeon was way too long. Yeah, I got like three-fourths of the way done, and I was like, dude, I feel like this dungeon should have finished already. I'm kind of tired of doing it. So, I think it's the only dungeon that I was like, this one kind of sucks, and I don't really like it that much. But if you like it, cool. That's awesome. I just didn't. It's just not one that I super cared about. But my favorite one was Ancient Cistern. That one I've heard is most people's favorite. The boss in that dungeon is extremely cool and extremely fun to fight. Now, speaking of bosses, I think the game had a pretty good set of bosses. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really care for fighting in prison 3 times. It felt like it. I mean, I feel like the second one could have done it. I mean, I understand why they did three, but I just feel like it was kind of overdone on the third one. Although I was still ready to absolutely give this dude the hands on his toe beans, but I just feel like they didn't change much in between. Each one of the three was whack the toe beans, watch out for the stomp. Very minimal changes. The second one gave him hands, and he would attempt to climb occasionally, but if he ever tried to climb, you could just Gruce cannon him, and he would be like, oh no, I can't climb anymore. You broke a single one of my finger beans, and now I can't climb anymore. So, I just don't think it was that different to me. And it was also the boss that I got annoyed at the most because I feel like having to destroy the toe beans where he takes such big steps when he has both sets of toe beans, and you gotta run like in between his feet where the splash damage pretty much covers everywhere, was just kind of irritating. And I was like, it's eh. I just didn't really care for it that much. But the other bosses were pretty cool. I don't think any of the bosses were overdone besides that one. The only boss I can think of that you fight three times as well as Girahim, but I quite enjoyed all those. Kaloctos was definitely my favorite boss, followed by probably Demise, and then Girahim. But I think the bosses had some cool mechanics and just cool designs in general, and I think they all fit the dungeon that they were with. Now, as I was talking about earlier, chat definitely came in clutch. I would not have been able to beat this game without them, like I said before. Bunch of you guys came in, helped me out, not just with puzzles that I could not solve, but if I was ever getting kind of bored or like, you know, maybe I would rather go play this game right now for a little while. Just chat being there and talking about stuff made it so fun and easy for me to sit down and just play the game for hours and hours on end. Like literally yesterday's stream, we went from talking about Skyward Sword to talking about our favorite and our opinion for the most overrated fast food places. I don't know how we got there, but we did, and it was fun. But chat definitely made this run possible. Again, I'm going to say it one more time, maybe two more times, who knows. If you don't come watch my live streams, you should definitely do that because they are very fun and we have a great time. Yeah, I'll see you there. Thank you. But they definitely came in clutch. Like I said, not just for the helping me solve puzzles that I couldn't figure out, but just for extra entertainment, hanging out. We got to hang out, have some fun, talk about some really random things. And Zelda, because that was the game I was playing. And to talk about Zelda, we couldn't not talk about Tears of the Kingdom, which comes out now in like 3 days. I am so freaking hyped for this game. Now, we didn't talk about any spoilers because I wanted my chat to be spoiler free. I want to be spoiler free. I want, besides looking at the trailers and the like one or two gameplay videos from the creators that got flown out to go play the game early and that were allowed to upload some footage. I have not seen anything. I know the game is out for people. I know people have been playing it, but I haven't, and I just want to play the game. But I'm obviously not going to play it before it comes out because I don't want to get in trouble. I also just punched the hell out of this thing right here. But we were talking about how absurdly hyped we are for this game and how we hope that it is going to absolutely blow our expectations out of the water. Which, if what we are hearing is true from the creators that got flown out to play the game, it lives up to it. It lives up to the expectation and the hype that it has been getting. It deserves it all, which I really hope is the case. I'm super excited for this game, and if it does live up to the hype, this could potentially be the best Zelda game ever made. It is going to be up there for sure with Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time and all the Zelda titans. You know, there's a bunch of them, and I'm pretty sure that this game is going to be up there, if not at the top. This game is going to be incredible, I hope. I guess we'll see in 3 days. But we were talking about just how hyped we were for it. Now, keep in mind, like I said, no spoilers. That will also go for chat when I'm playing the game when it comes out. Because, one, I don't want someone who has played the game already and beaten it before it came out to come into my chat and tell me how the game ends. I don't want that to happen. Or what the next boss is going to be. Or this and this, X, Y, and Z type thing. And I don't want chat to get spoiled either. Especially chat. If I get spoiled, so what? It's not the end of the world, but I really don't want chat to get spoiled because I would feel so bad. You know, they came in to hang out, have a good time, watch me play the game, and then they just get spoiled. That sucks. I don't want that to happen. So, any spoilers that are posted in chat, even if I've already played through it, the messages are going to get deleted. Just a heads up. So, just avoid spoilers. Just let everyone play through the game first. We got to have a grace period for everyone to play through the game before we can start talking about spoilers and stuff like that. So, to end off a video that's about Skyward Sword that I just talked about Tears of the Kingdom for about half of the video, I wanted to cover a couple things that I really liked about it and a couple of things that I didn't really like about it. Things that I really liked about it. The combat. I thought the combat was very fun and different and something that I wasn't expecting. It really made you pay attention to what was going on. You couldn't just freaking blah, 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 just whack in one direction as fast as you physically could because you would get punished sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Like Girahim, when he grabs your blade because you like overextended and started just whacking nonstop, or when an electric enemy, which I freaking hated those things, would put its freaking sword out and you would whack it and you would get electrocuted. Yeah, I hated that. But it was cool. It was different. I wasn't used to, besides playing Dark Souls, a game that seriously punishes you for overextending. Well, I guess this game doesn't seriously punish you for overextending, but it kind of does. So, I mean, nothing really ever came out of it except for the fact that I had to sit there and think about my actions when I smacked a taser sword for like 5 seconds while Link was stunned, and then look at a singular heart go away. Yeah, that wasn't fun. But I guess that kind of takes me into I hated electric enemies, but we'll get to that. But the combat was really cool. It really helped make the game feel like super engaging and enjoyable to play. I really enjoyed all of the level designs. I think that I could fly through Skyloft for hours on end. The music, the freaking Crimson Loftwing looks incredible and was super fun to fly around on. Skyloft was a really cool like hub world, and all of the destinations that you could go to felt very like alive. You'd walk around a corner and there'd be couple keys on the ceiling, and they would swarm the hell out of you. Or you'd see some Bocos just chilling. Now, I don't think that this game feels as alive as Breath of the Wild, because the enemies just kind of chill there. And they're like, what up, bruh? I'm just waiting for Link to come over here to smack the shit out of me. Whereas Breath of the Wild, you could be far away and you could see Bocos playing around and having a nap and all this stuff. I understand that Breath of the Wild is newer and all that stuff, but still. And then I think the only other thing that I want to talk about that I like super enjoyed was all of the dungeons except for, like I said, Lanayru mining facility. I didn't really care for that one. That one just kind of felt not very fun to play through since the beginning of that dungeon, and I felt like it lasted way too long. Now, this video is long, so I'm gonna try and wrap up the things that I didn't like as fast as possible. Things that I didn't like, I already talked about it. Imprisoned. Fighting him 3 times felt like it was super unnecessary. To fight him 3 times, I think 2 times would have been enough. Or since we had to fight him 3 times, maybe just change up the fight more instead of whacking in the toe, like in the toes, and then that's pretty much it for all of them. Just didn't feel that different. So definitely wasn't the biggest fan of that. And I think out of all the Zelda games that I have played, Skyward Sword's enemy design, I think, just wasn't my favorite. That's not to say that it's bad. I think they have some of the best enemy designs just out of any game I've ever played. But in terms of, especially Breath of the Wild, I just don't think that, well, I don't think many Zelda enemies can hold up to how Breath of the Wild's enemies looked and reacted to the environment or reacted to you and stuff like that. But especially Skyward Sword, I just feel like the enemies were kind of boring in a way. And especially the Bocos, because nothing can beat the Breath of the Wild Bocos. But even like the Moblins weren't my favorite, especially compared to Wind Waker. I think Wind Waker's Moblins were awesome, and this game's were just kinda eh. And then, like I've said 3 times, 2 times, I don't know how many times, I didn't really like Lanayru mining facility. I think it lasted way too long. But other than that, I think the game is an absolute must-play. It is in my top 10 games that I would recommend to someone if they've never played it before. Absolutely recommend if you've never played it. Absolutely try it. Please try it. You will have a great time with it. It is a super fun game. And if you've never played it, you got the Switch one, Skyward Sword HD. It's pretty good, and it looks cool, and it's very fun, and that's the one that I played, so definitely give it a shot. Now, this video is way too long already. I did not think it was going to be this long. So, I wanted to end it off by saying thank you to chat. You guys are the real ones that got me through this. We'll be streaming Tears of the Kingdom once it comes out every single day, as much as I physically can. So that is going to be, besides I have 2 more streams before then, but the next video you guys see will be after Tears of the Kingdom comes out. I will see you all later. Bye.
They tell me that I'm never gonna make it. They want me to do something that could make sense. They hate when I keep dreaming I'll be famous.